Because you started podcast when podcasting wasn't the thing,
No.
right? So how did your podcast come about, and what were your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, so it was about 10 years ago. There was a guy I used to listen to. He did Blogging the Outdoors, it was called. He had a little podcast, and that's kind of what sparked my interest in it. I used to listen to him. It wasn't all hunting, but it was mostly hunting and fishing. And I'm like, oh, I should add this to the Hunting Channel Online, which is a website that I own. It's a subscription based. So, at the time I had like 10 or 15,000 subscribers to my website that used to come and watch videos, read articles, use the various functions of the website to plan hunts and whatnot. And then so I added the interviews with the hunting masters, where I would once a month I would get a hold of somebody in the industry, and we had to Ask the Pros section on the Hunting Channel for many, many years, and that take those questions from there, and I would ask them on a podcast to one guy. And so I only produced 12 a year, and I did that for about 6.5, almost 7 years. And then I quit doing them. And then about a year and a half ago, I had been getting emails from people like, oh, hey, we missed the interviews with the hunting masters on the Hunting Channel. Why don't you bring it back? Why don't you bring it back? And finally I was like, okay, I'll do it. And then a buddy of mine's like, why don't you just do a podcast and just, put it out there for everybody. I'm like, all right, you got me. I'm like, so I wasn't going to keep the name Interviews with the Hunting Masters just because it sounds kind of, one, it's long, and it's really not, I didn't need to market it before because it was just on the Hunting Channel, but putting it out there on the web, now it's something, it's hard to market. It's hard to shorten up and make, it's just a mouthful. There's number one. Number two, it sounds very pretentious, like, oh, this guy thinks he's a hunting master. But when I did it, when I was doing it, I was truly, back in the day, 10 years ago, there wasn't all these Facebook professional hunters. Okay. So I like guys who wrote books, guys who were very well known, so I viewed them as masters, not myself as a master, but them. There was interviews with the hunting masters, and that's how it came out. But everybody's, I'm like, let me roll this out. I'm going to throw out a few of my old episodes first just to see what happens. And that's why I end up keeping the name. I was going to originally call it the same as my TV show, Days in the Wild podcast. It would have been easier marketing, smarter, but I did what I did, and now I rolled it out as Interviews with the Hunting Masters still, and here we are a year and a half later. And
you're doing one a week, right?
I do one a week, yes.
That's awesome, man.